Creatures of the night, it's your girl Tati. Let's talk about AEW Collision. We started off with them showing us a recap from the foolishness of Dynamite, where we have BCC that came in attacking everybody after a lot of them was already in the parking lot waiting for them to come and make their little statement. Now the biggest focus here with this video package is really Orange Cassidy. The good guys in AEW has been looking towards him to being the leader of Team AEW, and honestly, if you ask me, that would have been my last pick. But I understand why they would want Orange Cassidy. Now, people have been talking about that if Eddie Kingston was not injured, that he would have been the perfect person, especially to feud with Jon Moxley. And I think that would have been really, really great. Unfortunately, that will not happen anytime soon. Eddie Kingston did break his leg, and I don't see him coming back at least until maybe spring of 2025. Now, we did start off with our opening match, which was Shane Taylor versus Jay White. Shane Taylor obviously comes out with Lee Moriarty because Juice is with Jay White. They do have a pretty good opening match here. And to be honest, I was just not sure where this is coming from. And I'm glad that they gave an opponent such as Shane Taylor for Jay White, because it still makes him look great. It's better than them looking for random people in Iowa. Hardly anybody lived there anyway. They could have just literally found anybody to put in the ring with Jay White, and it would have not been a good vibe as it was with Shane Taylor. But we already know where this is going. There's no reason why Jay White would have to take an L. Even Lee Moriarty's trying to make sure that Shane can take a W here, but that doesn't happen. Jay White ends up taking the win. After this match, Jay White does compliment Shane Taylor, but then he got to go to business and say that he wants to have an official match with Hangman Adam Page. And I'm just like, oh, again, this is what I was saying from the jump, that with them having their match at Wrestle Dream, I felt like that was just so quick. They only had 10 days or so to put something together with Jay White and Hangman, and this is just of them having a fresh storyline, and has nothing to do with New Japan or anything from the past. And I just felt like that's not a good amount of time to do something between Hangman and Jay White. Either way, later on in that night, they end up confirming that for Full Gear, we will be having Jay White versus Hangman Adam Page. And to be honest, I'm hoping that there's some type of stipulation, something, put them in a cage, put them in a basement, something, so that this match doesn't feel like what we are at Wrestle Dream. Right now, I don't know where we're going with this, but I'm kind of bored. Now, after this, we do have Lexi backstage with Ricochet. We do have Leo Rush, who interrupts. They're having a match later on that night. And Leo Rush ends up reminding Ricochet that he took a card from MVP the other day. And Ricochet look, bitch, don't get it twisted. I don't want to be part of the Hurt Syndicate. I don't want to have nothing to do with these guys. Now, Leo Rush does seem like he's probably interested in working with MVP. He also took a card, and he even posted a picture of himself on social media with that card, maybe looking like that's something that he might want to do in the future. Now, with this, I do want to also say is that Ricochet has a new opportunity in AEW to make things work. I do feel like his little catchphrase, "out of this world," it's giving elementary school to me. I think he can try to be who Ricochet should have always been in WWE, but also tweak things a little bit to make things feel different, if you know what I mean. We'll see what ends up happening with that. So now we have Kyle Fletcher, who is back there being interviewed by Lexi. And long story short, he's standing there with that new buzz cut, and he got his little new shirt and everything, which I might buy. It's something I would actually wear. I don't know what's going on with him cutting his hair, and his new thing to say is that he's not like Will Ospreay or whatever. I'm pretty sure they're going to run it back with these two guys in the ring pretty soon. But he says he wants to have a match with someone new on Collision next week. And that's really interesting to hear, that he wants to go against someone new. That actually makes me feel like obviously someone he's never faced before, that's either in the company or maybe a debut or somebody just stopping by. We'll see what ends up happening with that. Right now, Kyle Fletcher, I'm not sure where they're going with him and Will Ospreay. They're probably going to run it back, but either way, so far, we'll see what ends up happening with that. After this, we do have Penelope Ford, who hasn't been in the ring since God knows how long, going against Robin Renegade. And I want to say this is decent, but there were hiccups here where it was just like, you haven't been in the ring in a long time, and it shows. And Penelope, she is talented, don't get me wrong, but I do feel like when someone is making either a debut match or someone has returned and they're having their first match back, people are really trying to remember what it was that they liked about this person or maybe didn't like about that person, and that match is supposed to be a reminder of who they are. And unfortunately, I just felt like it fell flat in quite a few places when it came to Penelope, but Penelope ends up taking the win. She has her match with Jamie Hayter. Jamie Hayter ends up coming out and saying, "Hey bitch, November 6th is you and me, I'm gonna whoop your ass." Now, I'm interested to see where this is going. I do feel like the build for Jamie has been a little bit lackluster, but we'll end up seeing what happened. You know, Penelope, she gave a great effort, but man, if this is just ring rust, girl, you're going to have to be practicing even on the days that you're not expected to be on TV to have better matches. After this, we also have the FT Runners, and they're basically just showing their friendship. Honestly, I am over it. I'm over it. It kind of feels like, okay, so the FTR, they're a great team. However, they get to that point where they get stale, and it's just like, well, they're great, but there's probably other more entertaining tag teams. So even though they're really great in the ring and entertaining in terms of their in-ring work, in terms of personality and things like that, they do get stale. Now, they've been hanging out with the Outrunners and leeching off of their energy. And honestly, I'm not a huge fan of it, but we'll talk a little bit more about that when it comes to the main event. Now, after this, we do have the Outrunners going in tag team action with MXM Collision. MXM, I just love these guys. These guys are just so fucking talented, and they're funny, just like the Outrunners. They have locked up in the ring before. However, Outrunners end up taking this win, which I kind of thought was going. I thought this is where we was going with it, especially with them little thing that they had going on with FTR a few seconds before that match started. Now, there was this part of the match where these guys are so fucking crazy, where Mansoor is laying down in the ring and they end up tripping our boy Mason onto Mansoor, and they end up in a 69 position. And I'm just like, what the fuck? What the fuck? You already know exactly where they're going with these sexual innuendos that they're always doing or whatnot. But sometimes I'm just like, how do they let these things happen on TV? I have no clue. Very entertaining match. And honestly, nothing here tonight was a squash, which I absolutely appreciate. That's them taking time and making great use out of it. So we got a chance to see really great stuff from both of these teams. But Outrunners end up taking the win. And Tony Schiavone's over there praising them and everything. Talking about this is their biggest match that they've had yet. And honestly, maybe. After this, we do have a sit-down interview that was taped earlier in the day with Nigel McGuinness and Wheeler Yuta. They was sitting so close that their knees probably was touching. I don't know what that was about, but it was very interesting to hear Nigel start off with saying, well, you know, I don't give a fuck about Danielson, but what the fuck is going on with you and what you did to Danielson? And it went from I don't care for Danielson to showing sympathy for Danielson, which is very odd for our boy Nigel. Now, Wheeler Yuta goes on to say, oh, you mad that we killed Batman before you did? And I was just like, oh, why are you doing that to Nigel? You already know, Nigel had his match with Danielson and obviously couldn't keep a good man down, so it took BCC to get it done. And the energy shift to Wheeler Yuta basically saying that they had to do what they did for the greater good, and also being really snarky with Nigel, which makes me feel like, Nigel, you won't just let him talk to you like that? You're not going to smack the shit out of him or something? If they end up having a match or something, that would be pretty interesting to see Nigel and Wheeler Yuta in the ring. Who would have thought? But Wheeler Yuta, no matter what, in terms of what happened with Danielson, he's just saying, like, this is something that we had to do. This is something that I had to do. And it was just not like something like, oh, I wanted to do this because XYZ. This was more, it felt more of, someone told him to do this, so he had to do it. And also, with him talking about that we had to do this for a greater good, kind of brought me back to thinking to an idea that I thought at first was there may be someone who's not physically in the picture who is the leader, and it's not necessarily Moxley. It makes me feel that way, but I could be wrong. It would be cool to see if that was the case. Now, someone in the live stream chat said that it would have been cool to see if it was William Regal who was the mastermind of this whole thing. While I think that that would be cool, that is definitely not the case. At least, I don't think so. Now, after this, we do have Jake the Snake Robert. He is back there with LFI. And he's doing the promo, pretty much doing like 90% of the talking, basically saying that, hey, there's a lot of y'all bitches up in here and none of y'all can beat us. And they end up doing that LFI thing when they put their fists together or whatever. And then Beast Mardo, I think he said a word. I think he said everybody, if I'm correct. I think he said that. And you know what, baby, if you need somebody to help you, learn English or whatever, I'm fluent. I could teach you. Give me a call, Beast Mardos, if you do need help. Now, I do feel like at first we all was judging this group, like what the fuck is Jake the Snake Roberts doing with this group? And I have to say, I absolutely love this pairing. Now, after this, we have a really, really great matchup with Lio Rush and Ricochet. They tore the house up in this match. Now, very interesting that I might go back and look at some of Ricochet's matches since the match that they had at Wrestle Dream, but he's using Williams and Takesha's moves in these matches, and I didn't catch that until today when I was just like, oh, okay, I'm seeing things that the other two will definitely use. Now, when I was doing my review yesterday, I was just like that elbow strike, I wasn't feeling it. But apparently it's supposed to be his own version of the hidden blade. And honestly, it makes a little bit more sense now. I don't want them to get in the habit of having especially someone like Ricochet, who's just gotten to the company, to just be taking other people's moves just to prove a point. Because here we have someone like Mariah May, who's been so obsessed with the Toni Storm thing, where it's kind of held her back from having her own identity in the company. So I'm just like, all right, we get your point, Ricochet, but I don't want this to be a habit of him doing this all the time. Ricochet ends up taking the win. However, we did have Lio Rush, who tried to cheat using a chair. Now, off the show, they show stuff on social media. We have Lio Rush after his match, who goes backstage. Cameraman is trying to figure out, like, what the fuck you doing with that chair? And then he's just like cursing at the cameraman, and he's trying to get away. But then the entire group, Top Flight, end up catching up with him. And they're like, what the fuck? And he goes like, look, we've been in this company for so long, and we not taking W's. Like, we should have had championships by now, which I agree. And he goes, well, sometimes, we got to do things a way that we normally wouldn't do to get the things that we want. Dante agreed. Darius, no, not Dante. I think it was Action Andretti. He agreed. Darius Martin agreed. It seemed like Dante was in agreement too, because it's just like, we've been here for the longest. Like, what the fuck? I totally understand where they're coming from. Are we going to see these boys turn heel? Maybe. After this, we finally have Harley Cameron and Thunderosa meet up. Harley Cameron has her face painted. It was actually cute. She was like a pink kitty. Long story short, because this was long for no reason, they're going to have a match, a Dia de los Muertos match on Collision next weekend. I can't say I'm necessarily excited, but I'm happy to see our girl Thunderosa back in the ring. We also have the Undisputed Kingdom. They're back there. And Beast Mortos is there as well. Roderick Strong is just like, look, I don't know what's going on between us, but we bought you something. They gave him this basket of what I thought was hygiene products, but it turns out to be candy. And basically want to go trick-or-treating with Beast Muertos. Beast Muertos is growling. He's looking at the food. Lexi takes one of them candies and she eat it her damn self. And then here comes Mike Bennett, who comes out, and he's wearing a Beast Muertos mask. And I'm just like, oh, okay. And he's growling too. And maybe, just maybe, Beast Muertos knew what he was talking about. And I guess they're going trick-or-treating. We'll see. It seems like Beast Muertos is confused. But baby, if you are confused, come see me and I'll help you out with that. I'll help you out. Next match up, we had Anna Jay versus Viva Van, and we knew where this was going. We knew exactly where this was going. Anna Jay ends up taking the win. I would say that they are building her to look great to go against Mariah May again, but this time for the title. I really do wish that she did not go against Mariah already. This is another situation, just like earlier I was talking about with Jay White and Hangman. They have to do something different this time for the women's match. I don't really think that there is a stipulation or anything for that. I don't want to feel like we're going to see the same match over again. And while I'm at it, Tony Khan, Viva Van, give her a damn contract. Why is she losing every time I see her? She's fucking amazing. So now we have Kyle O'Reilly and Issei back there with Lexi. And Kyle's obviously upset about Chicken losing the title to Chris Jericho, like the rest of us are. And Issei even does his little promo in Japanese. I think it's the first time I actually heard Issei at all. And, well, at least in AEW. And it was really, really interesting that they let him speak and say what he had to do, but they never did that with Takeshita. Am I tripping? Anyway, Lexi also brings up about, the Undisputed Kingdom and their little shenanigans going on too. And then Kyle O'Reilly goes on to say that he's paying attention to everything up in here. However, he's not living in the past and he's done with the Undisputed Kingdom. He is good with the conglomeration. And honestly, if they're going to have to whoop your ass to get that spirit, this conglomeration spirit out of you, Kyle O'Reilly, just so you can get back to your senses, then that's probably what's going to take for him to get back with that group. We have our main event, FTR versus LFI, which I was kind of surprised to see was the main event. However, they tore it up. Now, FTR, they're fucking annoying to me. However, super talented. Probably, I would honestly say the best tag team that they have in AEW, to be honest with you, in terms of their in-ring work. It's just that everything else is just meh to me. However, LFI, they tore it up. We have Uncle Jake, who's ringside, and we also have Beast Mortos, who was over there as well, ringside. Now, as great as this match was, the energy was on point, the chemistry was on point. Drilistico, we haven't seen you in so long, my brother, and he's doing his damn thing. Drilistico, Roosh, call your brother Dragon Lee. He ain't doing nothing over there anyway. He can come on over to AEW. I thought this was really, really great. They do mention about hologram or whatever, yep, about hologram being injured. We'll see you later, hologram. And that's supposed to be in the hands of LFI. So obviously that helps them be a bigger, a heel faction. Now, unfortunately, FTR ends up taking the win. For what reason? I have no motherfucking clue. Can somebody just tell me what it is with this obsession with FTR always winning? I have no clue why at this point. I don't care what y'all doing with the Outrunners or whatever, but this was more, I feel like, should have been for LFI. They're making a statement. They got Jake the Snake Roberts of all people endorsing the ass whoopings, and still they end up taking a loss where I feel like it really mattered against a really strong tag team like FTR. I think they made the wrong decision in terms of the team that took the win here. However, with that being the case, LFI, they're not happy about this, and they end up getting them extension cords, and they go beat up on FTR, rightfully so. And then that's when the Outrunners come out there, being Captain Saberhose, to help FTR. I'm over it. I'm just so over it. Like, what is up with this FTR and Outrunners thing? I thought they were just making fun of just them doing a couple of shenanigans, outside the ring. But now it's just like, oh, y'all buddy now. And honestly, I'm not necessarily thrilled about it. And it was okay for all the people who love baby faces and wanted the show to end that way, sure. But it just kind of feels like, like I said, FTR, they're a little bit stale in terms of the personality department. And then it takes a group like the Outrunners to really help boost them up in whatever the hell that they got going on. Now, the show, not bad. If you didn't have anything else to do when you was watching it, you probably would enjoy a couple of things here. But honestly, I just feel like some of these booking decisions are out of whack. Tony Khan, you say you got a whole team of people back there on this creative team, and honestly, it doesn't feel like that. But at least when it comes down to in the ring, these wrestlers always give their very best, despite what they got working with creatively. Guys, thanks so much for watching my review. I will be back on Wednesday with Dynamite. See you guys then. Bye.